Welcome to the Modern Classrooms Project podcast. Each week, we bring you discussions with educators on how they use blended, self-paced, and mastery-based learning to better serve their students. We believe teachers learn best from each other, so this is our way of lifting up the voices of leaders and innovators in our community. This is the Modern Classrooms Project podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Modern Classrooms Project podcast. My name is Tony Rose Deanna, and they them pronouns, a designated hype person here at MCP. And y'all, what a treat, because I am joined today by Trinae and Ifeoma Uzoka.
You're an English teacher, so when I asked you about math and we were talking, you were like, oh, I don't know. No, I can't do this. And that's really one of the reasons why, because it's all about, everybody is capable, but math is that number one hated subject. And I wanted to change the narrative with that. And I think what really helped me was when I was in high school, I had the same math teacher for 3 years straight, and she was phenomenal. And funny story, I ended up working alongside with her when I started teaching. But just showing that math can be fun, math can be engaging. It doesn't have to be scary, and we can all do it. And just, and then I also like the rewarding part is seeing my babies graduate and seeing them in adulthood and seeing the things and them coming back saying, oh my God, Miss Uzoka, you were so right. Oh, I learned this. Thank you for teaching me this. Because, what people fail to realize, everything starts with teachers. Mm-hmm. You need a teacher for everything. And I like being that pillar for everything and leading these kids in the next generation into the real world and into their path and their passion. Well, I will first say I'm the number one teacher of not reinventing the wheel. If it's there, utilize it. Do not try to recreate anything. And I think because as teachers, we have so many time constraints and we have to get things done at a certain period of time because of standardized testing and all of those things. We need something that makes it easier on the teacher and planning part. So that is mainly what our presentation is about, is how to make it more fun and engaging, but quicker. Because we can sit down and make the assignments and do it, but it takes too much time and we don't have the time to do it. So let's utilize AI and get it to create those fun and engaging. And sometimes we use it as a blueprint because, like you stated too, AI is not always correct. And then math is not, like, I've had a student, I'll go ahead and tell you, I had a student in my AP computer science class put in one of his pre-calculus problems in Copilot, and it told him that X equals 81 over 9, which equals 27. I'll let that sit there. So he realized, he was like, wait, this is not right. So AI hasn't even accomplished, and even what I've realized too in making these assignments and different activities, it always has the fine print line in AI. Teachers, please check the answers and ensure that they're correct because we can be wrong. So it's even letting us know that, hey, let's check it. But I love it because it is that blueprint, and then I can edit it and change it and shift it the way that I need to for my students. But I don't have to create the whole thing from top to bottom. Yeah. And it is some teachers that are still trying to, they're a little bit hesitant. They're still not wanting to use it. But I'm just, we're trying to show them that, hey, it is a way to use it for good, to help you and take off the workload.
And I think that's important. They use it for good, right? Like using it intentionally, because I know AI is overwhelming. It is scary. It's overwhelming. And then to a lot of teachers, it could also just be like a new quote unquote initiative, or like a new tool or a new something that like, whatever, this is going to pass by. I think another thing that I really appreciate about AI too is that there's now more ownership for students, really, right? Like, hey, I can do my own research. I can look for the questions. It creates a more self-directed learner. And then also this piece of like error analysis. That's huge in math, right? Like yes, you have AI, but like you said, Trinae, like there's mistakes. Like nothing is perfect. There's mistakes. So now we as human beings have to figure out what the errors are, do a whole error analysis, because then that creates a deeper understanding with students, right? And so that's something that I really appreciate. And I think another thing too that I appreciate is that AI is pushing teachers to let go of control.
You have DOK1 questions, DOK2, DOK3. And I was trying to explain to them DOK1 questions, 30 seconds or less, right? But these students have been ingrained. Put the problem in Desmos. No, the purpose of a DO, you should just be able to look at the question and understand certain characteristics and bam, answer it. And I was trying to explain to them, when you take 30 seconds to put this in the Desmos, that lets me know you don't understand the fundamentals of what is going on. And this is the level 1 question. And almost 30% of your test is based on these level 1 questions. And I was trying to tell them the level 2 questions are close to 50% of your test. So 70% of your test, you should not be spending more than a minute answering the question. Okay. So that is the shortfall. It's like when there's crunch time, you can't just, you have to have some knowledge behind it. You know, we have deadlines. So if I'm relying on AI for everything, I don't have anything. I don't have a foundation. So there is a balance. So even when I had to stop them. Why are you guys touching Desmos? Let me ask you these questions. And Tony, don't get upset. And I even had to interrupt the teacher, and because she said, put it in Desmos. And I said, guys, what is y? Y equals negative 3x plus 5. Is the graph increasing or decreasing? They were like decreasing. And I said, what's the y-intercept? They said 5. And I was like, so why are we touching Desmos? You just answered those 2 questions. Which graph goes with that? Bam, we're done. That's 30 seconds. And I said, but we're so trained, like we tell kids, touch the calculator. No, there are things that kids still need to know. I mean, AI was created by humans, you know what I mean? So the new human needed to know something. So I told my students, whatever you put in, AI is giving you what you put in. So, but you have to know something to put into AI.
And it's funny because I was in a meeting yesterday, a computer science meeting, and we were talking about, you know, the students using AI. And one of my teachers said, oh, I make them give me the prompt. And what the prompt was, and that goes back to her saying you have to know. So it's like, what are you telling it? So you have to know what to tell it in order for it to dish out the information. Because I will be honest, ChatGPT, I call him Chatty. That's my best friend. I love him to death. So therefore, when I put things into him, or how I had to learn how to utilize to get what I want, I had to be specific and actually know what I'm talking about.
Because a lot of our professional developments for Atlanta Public Schools, we do them online, right? Lately, we've been doing them online. So I walk into schools and people are like, you're the lady that did the Padlet. I've been using your Padlet, girl. And I'm like, yeah.
And that's what it's for. It's because one thing as teachers, we have these professional developments, but there's no follow-up. There's no, can I reach back out, or where can I go back to these resources? And so that's where the Padlet actually came from, was so teachers can go back and have those resources, as well as know a way to reach out. Because, you know, people not keeping up with cards anymore. And then even when you put your information in people's phones, it's like, oh, I don't remember who was it, who. So go to the Padlet, you see my LinkedIn, you see her LinkedIn, you see our website, you're still able to contact us without, you know, trying to figure out where to find us.
And I think something that I really appreciate about y'all's presentation too is that it's such an easy way in, right? So for folks who have never, ever touched AI or don't have any slight interest in AI, right? Came into your presentation being like, oh, wow, I could do that. Oh, wow, I could do this. And I think one of the things too that this brought up for me is that, okay, there aren't a lot of trainings or support for educators to play with AI. And that's probably why there's, or time, right? And that's probably why there's a bit of a resistance, or even like why school systems are behind AIs, because there's a lack of training and support when it comes to AI. And so I think you know the attendees, the participants who showed up at your presentation, they were all in awe, because they were just like, oh, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be challenging. This is actually really great that I can make these things in 2 seconds.
In 2 seconds, girl. So don't get dinged on that lesson plan. And we're looking at trends in education as well. What are the trends? What is going on? So, because we're talking about let's look at this data. What is this data saying about your school? Oh, the ELL students are outperforming you, and English is their second language. What is going on here? So, just having these conversations, and just exploring trends and opening up people's eyes and letting people see that, when you have that ELL student, it's not always easy, or it's not always hard. Don't make assumptions because they don't know the language, they don't know the math, or vice versa, So it's just an interesting realm that we're in education right now. I just want a space where people can really just talk. That's what our next goal is, because this space right here, we could go on forever with this. We talked about ELA. That is not us. We talked about idioms. We talked about ELL students. We, on top of AI, and educators need that space.
That's great. I love that. I'm excited about this Educators After Dark. I think it's going to be a vibe.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony.
I just want to see math in the future. I just want to see the anxiety go away. I just want to see the excitement about math, and to know that it's not as complicated as people make it seem.
It doesn't have a race. It's not gender. It's not.
It's simple. It's because what I have to tell my students, the number one thing is, when would I use this in the real world? And what I tell my students is, math is that, and you stated it earlier, Tony, was math is it teaches you those critical thinking skills. Yeah. It teaches you those problem solving skills. It teaches you how step by step to go and attack an issue and be able to logically follow through with it. So it's not just the numbers behind it, but it's the process and the procedure that you take to get to that solution. Mm-hmm. And I think once people understand the deep concept about it, and not just, fear the numbers and all of that, a lot of people will see, oh, it's not that bad.
It's not. And, it's like, and I told you, Tony, we could keep on going. You need to go, girl, you might
Yeah, no, thank you. And I just, again, another thing I wanted to say too, that real world application piece, right? Once you take away that anxiety piece, then there is a lot more appreciation and joy. It has to be relatable. It has to be relevant. It has to be. And that's when you know that you have to get to know your students to see what is relevant, to see what is relatable. Okay. Another closing. Thank you.
That's two closing.
Yes. Period. I appreciate you two so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your knowledge.
Thank you. We appreciate you too. Thank you for the invite. And thank you, Tony.
Thank you so much for listening. Listeners, remember you can always email us at podcast@modernclassrooms.org, and you can find the links to topics and tools we discussed, as well as more info on this week's announcements and events, in the show notes for this episode at podcast.modernclassrooms.org. We'll have this episode's recap and transcript uploaded to the Modern Classrooms blog on Friday, so be sure to check there or check back in the show notes for this episode if you'd like to access those. And if you enjoy our podcast and it's been helpful in supporting you to create a blended, self-paced, mastery-based learning environment, we would love if you could leave a review. That does help other folks find our podcast. And of course, you can always learn the essentials of our model, if you want to go beyond the podcast, through our free course at learn.modernclassrooms.org. And you can follow us on social media at ModernClassProj. That's PROJ. We are so appreciative of all the hard work you do for students and schools. Have a great week, and we'll be back next Sunday with another episode of the Modern Classrooms Project podcast.